Alright, so I just got done making some automations, and yeah, today is I think day 5 or day 6 of the business update. And look, I didn't do day 5. I don't think I did day 5. The point of this series is not to have to come here every day. I'm gonna try my best. That's something I commit myself to, but to be truthful, that is the messy reality of entrepreneurship and just life. It's that, you know, you may not come in every day, but coming in is enough. Quitting is never enough. And that's kind of the lesson I wanted to focus on today, which is kind of, I guess you can say it's the root force of anything, and it's how to grow, and it's kind of like the philosophy of how to grow. So let me draw it out for you, because I think this is an amazing video I can make today that I think will help a lot of people. So how does growth work, right? Let me pull that up over here. I might make like a formal video on this, but this is just me kind of brainstorming while I'm here. So to think of growth, I want you to kind of think of it like it has two components, which is, I'll write this here. So growth, right? It has two components. Let me make these bigger. So two components. It has speed, and it has, I guess you can say, implementation. So implementation is implementing the right things, and just implementing things in general, just doing it. And here it's how fast you implement those things, right? Obviously. So the thing with this is, if you're in this part, your business grows fast growth. If you're just moving with speed, you're just going to, you're just going to try and implement things fast, but it's going to be the wrong things. This is a terrible explanation, but it's just off the top of my head. If you do this slow, you grow slow. So the only thing that you need with anything, really, whether it's working out, business, gym, growth in general, it's doing stuff fast and then doing the right things. Because you could be doing a lot of speed, but then implementing the wrong things. For example, if you're starting a business and you spend a month on making a website, you spend the next month on setting up your room so that the content looks good, you're not going to win. Nobody cares. However, if in those 2 months you spent every day uploading 12 reels on Instagram, and you spent every day doing outreach in some way, that's going to be much better. That is the intersection between both. And again, to do more speed, you do more volume, which is, how can I do more today, right? At some point, speed becomes volume. Because if you want to do stuff faster, that means at some point you're going to run out of stuff to do, which means you have to do more stuff. So for example, if you say, hey, I want to do 1 reel per day on Instagram, right, just to grow, or I guess, yeah, something like this, right? 1 reel per day. Or let's say 1 outreach per day, 1 outreach /DM per day, /DM per day, right? Then what this might look like is, let's say you're doing this really quickly. This takes you like 1 minute. But for some people, this 1 outreach might take 10 minutes, right? Well, now in the same time someone might take to do 1 outreach, you could do 10 outreaches. So you can do 10 outreaches in 10 minutes, right? While this person is doing 1 outreach per 10 minutes. What does this lead to, right? Well, if you do this over, let's say, 3 hours, that could look like 180 times 10, which is, what is that? God, I'm kind of sick, so I can't think. I think that's 1,800. So that's 1,800 outreaches in 3 hours, right? Which is pretty unrealistic, but let's say theoretically that's what you could do per 3 hours, right? Well, this guy, if he's doing 1 outreach per 10 minutes, oh no, sorry, I think I got that wrong. God, I'm doing this terribly. I think this one would be like 180. So you can see all of a sudden it's 10 times less. 110 outreaches per 3 hours, whatever. So this is it. This is kind of how I think of stuff. And at some point, speed becomes volume. So if you do enough of something fast enough, you'll need to do more. And so if you do end up at that point, that's when you actually start growing. Because if you take the time to learn the right things to do, you implement them fast enough, eventually you have nothing to do, which means you either do more of the same thing or you move on to something that has higher leverage, which is exactly what implementation is, right? Leverage is when I do this task, will I get an outsized return from that task? So for example, me manually knocking on doors versus me manually making a Instagram short, which one has more leverage? Well, how do you define leverage? It's who does it go out to most people to, right? If you knock on one door, you go to one person. You make one reel, it could potentially go to one person. It could go to 10 people. It could go to 1,000 people. It can go to 10 million people, right? So which one has more leverage? Obviously, the one with the content, right? It's the same with literally everything else. Some tasks have more leverage than other stuff. If you make a website, nobody's checking your website. Nobody cares. But if you make reels, if you make some kind of video, people can see your video. And if people can see your video, that causes to you sending them somewhere, which even if you had a garbage website, I promise you, most of my business ran on a garbage website when I was first building. It's because I realized it doesn't really matter. Now, at some point, I wanted to optimize conversion rates, so then I changed the website, and that's a different conversation, right? But you only need to make things, if you're trying to grow, that gets more customers, keeps them longer, and converts them. That's really it. And each of those three segments have their own kind of thing to do. Like getting more customers is outreach, making content, ads, posters, all that kind of stuff, right? Keeping customers is actually delivering on the product. How can you increase someone's LTV, lifetime value? How can you get them to pay more for the same thing? How can you get them to stay longer for the same thing? Get them on a monthly subscription, right? That's one of the best things you could do is it can get someone to stay. Are you actually delivering on your product? Is your refund rate high? There's so much stuff that you could do that isn't really discussed. And so it's very important to kind of look at this stuff. And then thirdly, how can you, what was the last one? So it was get customers, keep customers, sell customers. So how do you convert customers, right? Convert leads into customers. That kind of comes under getting customers. But yeah, it's very straightforward, very simple. And yeah, that is kind of the thing I wanted to explain today, which is growth is very simple. It's implementing the right things and implementing them fast. And doing both, if you can do both, you will grow very quickly in anything, business, gym, life. Most people struggle, I think, mostly with the speed, and the people who usually are really good at speed, they suck at implementation. For me, speed is an issue, which is something I'm working on. But implementation, I sit here and I'll think about a thing for 8 hours because I know in the future it'll save me thousands. So I'm really good at implementation, but my speed to implementation is not that great. Like, I'm being straightforward with you. So that is something that I personally am working on. I think my strength lies in finding the smartest solution for something, so I have to do the least amount of work, but still get an outsized return. And that is really, like, truly my strength. Like, I'm probably one of the best at doing that because everything in my life that I've noticed is extremely leveraged. It's very well put together. As in, like, I do one thing and it can affect 10 things instead of me doing one thing and it affecting one thing. So, yeah, that's kind of how I think about it. And other than that, that's the only update I have for today. It was just this video series. I hope to be consistent one day. I may not be, right? I might be a little less consistent with how I do stuff. Maybe I can miss a day. It's possible, right? But I will likely get back into that daily posting. But just know that this isn't really my priority. This is more of I try to do this as a public service. In the future, people can watch this and, hopefully they can learn something from it. But I'll try my best to be more consistent. It's not even a hard thing to do. It's just, I just forget because life is very busy and fun. Anyways, that's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.